So greetings from Pennsylvania once again. It's the day before Thanksgiving. Today's November 27th. And today we're down here in Chester County. I was going to do some hiking and exploring at what's called the Cheslin Nature Preserve. But in the process, I was just looking to see what else is around in the area. And on Google Maps, a little historical marker appeared for something called Indian Hannah. I was like, Indian Hannah? I don't think I've ever heard of that. So I had to check it out. Right there's a marker for her right along the road here. This is Route 162 right here behind me. Let's go check this out. I'll tell you her story. A little bit confusion as to where she's buried. Some say she's buried in the preserve down there. There's a potter's field, and Google Maps has another historical marker back here behind this gated road. So we'll have to explore that a little bit. See what's going on there. Sometimes those markers on Google Maps are not placed at the correct spot. But anyway, let's check this one right here. Right here is one marker. The preserve is down that way, and the potter's field where she's buried, or where she could be buried, is down that way too. The Chester County poorhouse, or Chester County almshouse, was located down there too, I think, at one point. This is Route 162, and I think this is called Conley or Conroy Road. It's gated at this end, but anyway, we'll see. But here we go. Indian Hannah. The shadow's kind of in the way there. 1730 to 1802. The last of the tribe of Lenni Lenape in Chester County. Put here in 2009. So basically, according to the records they have, she was the last Indian or last Native American, full-blooded Native American living here in Chester County. Indian Hannah. Alright, so we're going to do what we do. We're going to tell her story. Probably not at this spot. Right next to the highway. It gets a little busy here. It's not busy at the moment, but I am gonna quick go look to see if there is a marker up that way. I'm gonna find another road to get up there. But I am gonna do some hiking in the preserve. We're gonna be hiking past the potter's field too, so we'll find out which location is correct. But like I said, I'll tell you, it's a neat little story. It ties in with a lot of other videos we've done on the French and Indian War and that kind of stuff too. So. Alright, so we'll leave this marker. Like I said, I'm gonna go look up that way first. I'm not gonna walk up there, it's posted. I think there's the road that goes up and around. I don't think it is up there. I think that marker's misplaced. Because from the other research I've done, they said she is buried down in what's called the potter's field, down in the preserve. But let's just quick check. I'll get back to you. Like I said, she has a cool story to tell. Alright, so no luck. I'm at the parking for the preserve now. I did take a roundabout road to get up there, and there were more no trespassing signs and stuff, so I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm hoping that it was just the marker was just misplaced on Google Maps. But let me show you the preserve map where the potter's field is. Because even online, some people said she's buried in the potter's field, and one site even mentioned that area up there off of, was it Conroy or Conley Road, so a little confusing, but we'll tell her story when we get to the potter's field. I'm going to be doing some other hiking here as well, but let me show you the map so you can show where it is. Yeah, so here's the preserve map. This is where we're parked right now. Earlier we were parked more up this way somewhere. I didn't show that other road up here. But I'm parked here, and down here is the potter's field, where hopefully we'll see another marker for where she's buried. So, like I said, when we get to that spot, that's where I'll tell her story. Story of Indian Hannah. Alright, so we have made it to the potter's field here at the Cheslin Nature Preserve, but unfortunately I don't see a stone monument for Indian Hannah here. From the pictures I've seen online, you know that first stone monument I showed you, there was a similar one, so it probably was up at that other location, unfortunately, which kind of sad that it's posted saying you can't go back there, but there's a piece of history back there. But anyway, we'll explore here a little bit. I will share her story here as well. I'll have a look around, maybe the stones, maybe I'm just not seeing it yet. They have some information here about the poorhouse and the cemetery. Yeah, some information here. Here's what the poorhouse looked like around 1900. There's some information about her here. One of the residents of the poorhouse was Indian Hannah, believed to be the last Native American in Chester County, a member of the Lenni Lenape tribe. She eked out a living through sewing and basket making. She's buried on the poorhouse grounds, though the exact location of her grave is unknown. So here's some more information about the place. Yeah, top of the potter's field, built in 1798. Yeah, I'm also filming another video here for the preserve as well. But this is kind of sad that people here used to, if you were poor, you used to wear a P on your sleeve, meaning that you were a pauper, and you risked being beaten or driven out of the county. But yeah, not cool. But yeah, Established, yeah, when I first came up here, I thought it said established 1000. No, that's an 8. Established 1800. Known but to God, respected by us. Meaning they don't really know the names of the people that were buried here. So, but let's check it out. Find a place to sit and tell you about Indian Hannah. So she could be buried here, or maybe she is buried at the other spot. It says they don't really know, so that's kind of confusing. Big old, that's a huge cedar tree there, cypress tree, wow. So there are a whole bunch of markers up here. Yes, I'm kind of disappointed that we couldn't get to that other marker stone. It always irks me, as someone who loves history. You have historical monuments and places like that, but then you can't access them. People, you know, put posted signs up and everything. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, why have a historical marker there if no one can go to it? Anyway, there's my little rant. Like I said, we'll look at these. Yeah, all these markers just have numbers on them. There's not even names here. Yeah, here they are. It comes up to, you have 185, 186. So there's hundreds of people buried here. Not sure if there's more buried in the rest of it or not. But yeah, they don't even have their names. And that's kind of sad because they probably knew, with some of them they probably knew their names, but I don't know. I feel like there's a degree of disrespect to this. Even though they were poor, or some of them were mentally ill. I feel like maybe there's some that they did know their name, but I feel like a lot of these people, they probably did know their name. You know, like even the story we're doing here, Indian Hannah. She's also known as Hannah Freeman. We'll talk about that in a moment, but you could at least put their name. I mean, you put a number on the stone. Why can't you put a name? You know, even if you don't know when they were born and stuff, they at least deserve that. I mean, it's cool they got a place to be buried, but I don't know, you're just a number. You imagine your whole life brought down to just a number in the ground. Anyway, I mean, whether there's a name on your tombstone or just a number, you know, the fate is the same for all of us. You know, and in time, once again, whether your tombstone has your name on it or anything, or just a number, the tombstones will be gone someday too. So I guess, you know, anyway. All right, let's find a spot. Let me tell you Indian Hannah's story. I've been walking around rambling for a little bit too long here. I think there's a nice tree back there to sit under. All right, so this is a nice little place to sit here. Let me get my notes out, my cheat notes. Yeah, she's of the Lenni Lenape tribe. The Turtle clan, from what I read. Actually, I think I'll give a little tilt. Let me fix the camera just a little bit. Her and what was left of her people, even by the late 1700s, you know, there were, or this dates back to, she was born around 1730 or 1731. Even by then, there weren't many of her people left here in Chester County. This is one of the areas closest to Philadelphia where the settlers were. But yeah, her people, they lived along the Brandywine Creek, on land that was owned by one of the original Quakers that moved into the area. But during the French and Indian War, especially during, you know, I did a video on the Paxton Boys. They're the ones that wiped out. They did a massacre to the Conestoga Indians, and they marched to Philadelphia threatening to kill any Indians they found along the way. During that time, her and her family, they obviously got out of this area because they were in line of the Paxton Boys. So they actually fled to New Jersey and lived in New Jersey for 7 years. Eventually they came back. The men in the family moved off elsewhere. Some moved up to the Indian town of Shamokin, and it's just the women. It was Hannah, I think her grandmother, her mother, and some aunts. So they're the only ones that lived here. They moved back to the area. And she kind of made her living making baskets and doing farm chores and stuff. She was known as a healer in the area. It was said that people would, if some of their loved ones were sick, they would have Hannah come over and do some of her traditional medicine for them to help in the healing process. So there's some of the legends about her. She is known by the name Hannah Freeman at times. My notes here mentions that, yeah, she was, where is it? That she may have been in what's called a common law marriage with some guy named Andrew. That's not necessarily confirmed, but they don't really know if they had any children or not, but they didn't really know anything about that. But she did have 2 dogs that she took everywhere with her. But on the sadder note then, one by one, her female relatives started to die off. She was the youngest of them. Her grandmother died off, then her mother and her aunts, and eventually it was just her. She was the only one living here. Like I said, she made a living by making baskets and stuff. Apparently there's 2 surviving baskets that they say she made in a museum somewhere. That'd be cool to go find those. But yeah, in the 1790s though, she started, you know, her age started catching up with her, started getting arthritis. That limited what she was able to do. You know, those chores, those little activities that she was doing for people to earn a little bit of money, she really couldn't do anymore. And she kind of ended up like moving from house to house. People were kind of taking care of her. And I guess in some ways, she was kind of becoming a burden to the locals in some way. That was a nice way of putting it. But when they built this poorhouse here in 1798, or the Chester County Almshouse, she was one of the first people to move in there. I think the community banded together to help her have that place to live. And she had requested to be buried in her ancestral graveyard, which is near where Longwood Gardens is today. I think the Brandywine Creek is down there. But those requests were not honored. And like I said, she was buried here in the poorhouse cemetery. This doesn't exactly know where she is. I mean, she could be one of these numbered markers, but that's why I'm confused by why that other marker stone is way up that way. I mean, it's not terribly far away, but I don't know. Like, if they say she's buried in the cemetery for the poorhouse, why is there a marker stone up that way? I'm not sure. If someone knows the reason why, I can't really find any answers to that. I was hoping that the Google Maps was wrong, that the marker was actually here, but it's not. And it even says there that they don't know exactly where she was buried. So if the other marker is claiming that she was buried there, so this disinformation here. But as I always say, that's the way it is with history. I think I mentioned she died in 1802, so she only lived in that poorhouse for a couple years before she passed away. So I mean, she could be one of these here, probably one of the earlier ones, but I feel like there's more buried here. I mean, maybe when the poorhouse was first started, maybe this was not where people were being buried. Maybe it was elsewhere. That stone I was talking about was way up that way somewhere, so maybe, who knows, maybe some people were buried up that way in unmarked graves. And in later years, because it lasted for, you know, up into the 1900s, so, and these do look a little bit newer. These don't look quite 1800s age to them, so maybe she's not buried here. Kind of getting that feeling that maybe she is up that older spot, or potentially older spot. And if you want to look her up for yourself, you can type in Indian Hannah or Hannah Freeman. And we're not going to get all caught up in the, you know, the modern issues. Yes, Indian Hannah is the name. I know some people find that offensive, but we're not going to call her Native American Hannah or Indigenous Peoples Hannah. She's known as Indian Hannah. That's what they were called back then. It wasn't meant to be offensive, but anyway, that's her name. That's what she was known as. So that's the title of the video and that kind of stuff. Alright, I just had to say that. It's just one last look. It goes up to 204, but I get the feeling, you know, it opened in since 1798 and operated quite a while, so up into the 1900s, so I feel like there'd be more people than this buried here. I don't know if there's more people in here, or if, like I said, maybe there was another area, like I said, where that other stone marker is. Maybe there were some people buried up there initially before they had this field. Anyway. But there you go, that's the story of Indian Hannah. I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning of this video, but I was planning on coming here. Whenever I come to a location, I go on Google Maps and I look for other things in the area, and like some of those historical markers popped up, like, you know, for Indian Hannah. I was like, Indian Hannah? Never heard of her. Yeah. I think there's another marker for her down near Longwood Gardens too, where she was born. So that's her story. Kind of nothing super exciting, but just kind of a neat, one of those neat little stories from history. So like it kind of ties in with our French and Indian War series, Pontiac's War, you know, the Paxton Boys. She kind of ties into all that history we've been talking about. So I kind of like that. One of my videos, they kind of cross paths with each other, I guess you could say, the histories. So, alright, that'll be it for this video, folks. Like I said, you can do a little more research on her yourself. I think I said most of what it is, but it's an interesting story. As always, thanks for coming along. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one.